So, Michael, obviously, this is something that we're really passionate about. What was one of the reasons behind that?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons, but one of them's definitely that the consequences are very high on our kids if we don't get this right. Bullying is going to happen. Our kids are going to go through some tough times, but if it's not dealt with, you end up with kids who are going to struggle for years after, and we don't want that for our kids. So, I mean, some of those negative consequences would be the child who hides away from the world, sits in his room all day playing computer games, hides away in an online world to try and escape reality, or kids who are heavily into drugs or alcohol, just some sort of escapism, or kids who are having a series of destructive relationships with girls, just trying to prove themselves that, oh, I'm a man now. Look, I'm a man. Really, I'm a man. When really it's just compensating for the fact that you feel like a little boy and you haven't recovered, you haven't dealt with that broken part of you. So I guess I'm really passionate because the consequences of not dealing well with this are just too high to consider.
So, if the boys they don't have these skills and attitudes required to overcome this and come through the other side, then they fall back on these coping strategies, which can result in some really negative things for them.
Yeah, the coping strategies that we use as teenage boys are not ones that you want us using. I don't know about you, but some of mine weren't good. It's not what we want for our kids. We want the best for our kids. We want them to thrive. How are they going to thrive if they've got this aching part of them that says, I'm useless, I'm no good, I don't have what it takes? We want that to heal. That's why we're quite passionate, bordering on obsessed about this, I think. Jared, what do you reckon?
All right.
So, Jared, why do you feel it's so important for kids to have those goals after they've been through a tough time?
Well, it comes back to that idea of setting your own self-character and your self-worth. Okay, so it's about setting long-term goals where you understand that, okay, this is where I want to be, by the time I finish school, or in 5 years, or this is what I want to do for a career, even if that's going to change later. And then once you've got that in mind, then you can start breaking those up into short and medium-term goals. Okay, so if I want to be an astronaut, what sort of attitudes do I have to have? How do I have to apply myself? And you can do that in school situations, in work situations, in your relationships, so that you start building towards that. It gives you a really clear sense of purpose and a sense of fulfillment as well, once you tick those goals. Anybody, I think, can relate to this, where it's much easier to get something done when you know what it is that you have to do. And so setting those goals, first step to do it. Then all it is getting on that path and then building stage by stage by stage. How do I get there? And then every single step you make on that journey is a miniature success story in and of itself.
That's right, and that gives confidence. We want confident kids. They're not going to get confident by you saying you're a good kid. That worked when he was 6. Now he's 16, that doesn't work so much. And also with those goals, I guess you need some short-term goals and some medium-term goals and some long-term goals. It's so hard for our teenage sons to think long-term because they're just not built like that. Why would I start my Simon early when I could be dead tomorrow? I'd have wasted all that time, But they need that mixture of short-term, medium, long-term goals, and then it's about taking one step towards each goal, and then if that's not going to build confidence in a kid, what will?
Absolutely, as long as it's broken up into achievable steps. Okay, so you can have the big dream, but there's got to be things along the way so that if you keep trying to achieve these goals and you're failing, what's that going to do to your confidence? So once you've dreamt big, then you've got to get back to reality and see what can I do in the short and medium term to get there.